Why didn't our mothers and grandmothers teach us that men their lives? Okay? Why didn't they?
And then you sit there and ask if she's okay. No, she's not okay. She's not okay. That girl feels alone. She is in pain. It seems like no one cares and no one sees it. She is done. She's done. She's done being taken care for granted. She's done.
Dating life is tough for women and men, but there is no relationship that is more criticized, scrutinized, and demonized than Black love. It seems like it's constantly under attack wherever you go. And like the most negative, diabolical depictions of Black love are the things that normally go viral and get a ton of attention. Let's take into account this content creator. She has a rather small following, but she decided to share her experience with dating Black men, and all of a sudden she got almost 1 million views. That's a lot of viewership for somebody who barely has 6,000 followers. But again, this speaks to the prevalence of Black love, or rather the prevalence of Black love issues. Let's hear what she has to say in response to her viral video.
I am so upset that y'all blew this video up so much that I can't even respond anymore to the comments. And there are so many red pill men that I need to respond to. To the red pill Black men, the holier than thou Black men talking about this doesn't apply to me. Why are you bashing Black men? If it doesn't apply to you, then shut the fuck up in 2024. If you're a good Black man and this doesn't apply to you, then I applaud you. We as Black women applaud you. I never said that all Black men are bad. That never came out of my mouth. I still love Black men. But if you're gonna sit here and deny that Black men have trauma, need healing, are very toxic in large mass numbers, then you're part of the problem. You guys act like we as Black women, we wake up and we're like, we're gonna bash Black men. We're gonna make sure that they're just known to be bottom of the barrel. In order for us to have a reaction, there must have been an action on your end. But we're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about accountability. I don't get it. Again, not all Black men are bad. I know a few of you guys who are genuinely amazing men. But again, that's the few. You guys are not the majority, you're the minority. So please, take a seat and shut the f*** 2024.
Okay, so there you have it. Now, if we look a little bit more closely at some of the comments she says replying to, looks like this is a content creator or a user, to all the red pill Black men angry and the Pickmeishas. So it looks like she also has something to say towards the Pickmeishas. But I want to zoom in real quickly at another comment that she wrote that caught my attention. It says, your videos was implying all Black men are bad and Black women love acting like they are all good in relationships. This is from Jamal. She responds, no, we go for high value, the businessmen, lawyers, doctors, etc. Yet we are still disappointed. Okay, so again, you know, a classic scenario that we notice in the Black community, Black women saying, y'all suck, basically, and even the best aspects of you, even the best men of you also suck. That's essentially what's being said right here. And then of course, you know, you go into the comment section and you have, you know, essentially a lot of women agreeing. A lot of women agreeing, you know, Black women making themselves look bad, it's being exposed daily, the knee-jerk reaction they all give is women are toxic too, blah, blah, blah. And so basically, you know, you just had a lot of women being like, you're absolutely right, heart, cover girl. You had a little pushback here, it's implied, and just feeds into the ridiculous feud between Black men and Black women. You had some pushback there. But, you know, overall, you have a lot of people who agree. Black men suck, essentially. And even the best aspects of Black men suck. And there's such a small percentage of Black men who are good. The very small percentage of you who are good need to shut up and acknowledge that the overwhelming majority of you suck, right? And so that's pretty much what this message is saying and implying. Now, let me start by saying this. Obviously, this content creator has had very traumatizing and negative experiences with Black men. So I don't want to undermine her experience. But there are, I think, a few things that we really need to consider when we start coming to these vast conclusions that really do nothing else but fuel a gender war and essentially reinforce negative stereotypes about Black women and, quite frankly, Black men that have been going on for quite some time. Let's talk about trauma or being traumatized. You know, oftentimes I will hear Black women complain that Black men are traumatized, that they are dysfunctional, that they have undealt with issues. And this will usually be done by a woman who was clearly angry and belligerent and upset. And so I think the ironic thing about those kinds of videos and this kind of content in particular is, while we can obviously determine that there are Black men out there who are traumatized and upset, I don't know why we as Black women sometimes do not have the ability to also own our own trauma and also recognize that we ourselves hold the same amount of trauma, or have held the same amount of trauma, if not more so. Because if you are completely well and balanced and your emotional regulation and thinking, you're probably not going to go online and completely write off an entire race of men. Because, you know, right, she made some pretty declarative statements. Majority of y'all Black men are not good. And the majority, this is including presumably men in America, Black men in the West, across the diaspora. This is including Africa, Caribbean. And I mean, unless this woman is world traveled and has had the chance to visit almost every continent and every country, I'm assuming she has come to this conclusion based upon her own speculation. So you're not going to go and demonize an entire group of men unless you yourself likely have some angst, some anger, some tensions, or essentially a bone to pick towards that particular group of people. And what that also likely means is that you probably also have your own trauma. You probably also have your own anger, and you probably also have your own discontentment. If this was not the case, there wouldn't be an entire algorithm that is fed off of women's anger particularly. So really the reason I'm saying this is because I think it's really easy for us ladies to acknowledge and point to the amount of horrible trauma and dysfunction that exists among Black men. Okay, granted, but how easy are we to own our own? So this is obviously a video that is done from a place of experience and a place of trauma. And again, that is not to be judged. That is also to acknowledge that, hey, clearly Black men are not the only ones who are traumatized here. Clearly Black women are also people who are traumatized. And I think the sooner that we can recognize that perhaps both parties are likely bringing things to the table that are undealt with, then the sooner we might actually have a fuller picture. But to just say, hey, Black men suck and they're traumatized and dysfunctional, to just say that and to completely remove Black women from that scenario is dangerous. Because then what it does is remove the possibility of having a really truthful, honest conversation. This chat is not filled with women who are healthy, whole, have healthy relationships with perhaps their fathers and men in their life, people they know. These are women who are heartbroken. Y'all can't sit here and tell me that's not some trauma that needs to be dealt with. Now, real quickly, I do know she has a response to the Pickmeishas. Let's see what she has to say.
Guys, the Pickmeishas here. The Pickmeishas are here. All right, babe. So just because you yourself, you do not feel this way, you don't speak for the majority of Black women. Look at the numbers of comments. Look at the likes and the shares and the reposts on this video. I can't even comment. That's how overwhelming the Black women are feeling. Again, I constantly say this in the comments. If you actually read Pickmeisha and you're not trying to get picked and you read, you'd see that I constantly say not all Black men are bad. I love a good Black man. I know some good Black men, and I know that they exist, but they are the minority and not the majority. Just because you may not have endured it, or you are enduring it and you're secretly crying at night, or you don't want people to know you're going through struggle of, but you rather endure the struggle of in order to be picked and to stay picked and not be single, you don't speak for all of us.
I will respectfully say she certainly doesn't speak for me. Now, I don't know when or how she became the spokeswoman for all Black women. I don't resonate with what she's saying. As I mentioned before, there are obviously deeply dysfunctional, disgruntled, problematic Black men. I don't think anybody denies that. I think where we drop the ball is where we fail to acknowledge that there are also deeply disgruntled, dysfunctional, and also degenerate Black women. They exist on both sides. Now, nothing that this woman said, this lady said, not all Black women feel this way. There is nothing about this comment that was antagonistic, nothing about this comment that was, she wasn't attacking her look, she wasn't attacking her. It was simply a statement. She's like, we don't all feel this way. I agree. I can't resonate with what she's saying. Now, have I had negative experiences with Black men? Yes, I have. I dated Black men in the past. I'm married to a Black man now, but I had plenty of negative dating experiences with Black men. I did. I had to start to recognize where there are things that I was doing that was attracting to certain kinds of Black men, and the kind of things that I was doing to essentially undermine my own relationship success. Because yes, there were things that I was doing to undermine my own relationship success. And so again, as I mentioned, the challenge that I have with these kind of conversations is that it really keeps women from first acknowledging their own shortcomings. It keeps them from asking these really tough questions. It keeps them from being equally as introspective, which might actually be the things that they need to have real relationship success. But if all you do is get around in an echo chamber where other women are equally as depressed and sad and angry and lonely, at best it's a trauma bomb and nobody's getting anywhere. Why is it that the most disgruntled Black women are going and talking to other disgruntled Black women? And then when a Black woman who is actually happy in her relationship, or actually says, hey, I have a different experience. I'm with a good Black man. I'm experiencing this. Why aren't we taking the time to actually listen to the Black woman who has had a positive experience or is having a positive experience with Black men? Why aren't we listening to her? What if there is something that we can glean? What if there's something that she has discovered that we haven't discovered? What if there's something that we can learn that would actually improve our relationship results? Because what I'm saying is that, what's that old saying? Birds of a feather flock together. I'm not surrounded by people who are in horrible marriages and unstruggled love. That's not my scenario. I'm surrounded by people who are happy in relationships. Now, to be clear, every relationship has its challenges. That's not to say things are perfect. But by and large, I know people who are happily married. I know Black couples who are happily married. The church that I go to, Black couples happily married, successful, doing well, making good money, living lives, going on trips, sending their kids to private schools, things like that, doing good. And what I'm saying is, when I decided that I wanted to get married, I surrounded myself with people who are actually successful in relationships. And so I would encourage women, if you do find yourself, you feel like you're always experiencing bad relationships and you're surrounded with women who are experiencing bad relationships, maybe it's time to change your circle. And maybe instead of judging the quote unquote Pickmeishas or the women who actually have relationship success, if you see something that you honestly desire or aspire to, don't minimize it, don't judge it, don't try to convince yourself that she's a slave and that she's making it up. No, if she seems happy, why not ask her why? Why not try to learn? Why not actually listen to the people who are having success? Why not do that? Because what's not going to work is going online and being upset and crying and saying Black men suck, dating life sucks, you're the problem, yelling at men. That might feel good and that might actually get the emotions out. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's certainly not going to move the needle forward. And I would argue that it's actually this kind of behavior that proves that more Black women are traumatized than want to admit it. More Black women are angry and upset and overwhelmed and have probably maybe anxious, depressed, than want to admit it. These kind of conversations and these kind of viral moments actually speak to that. And so, yes, we can say Black men are traumatized, okay, but clearly Black women are too. Because the crazy thing about it is that when you're traumatized and when you're angry, that's all you see. But when you're healed, or as you become healed and as your heart is open, then you start to actually see and notice things and be open to experiences and people that you just simply weren't ready for otherwise. And this is what I think the lovely ladies don't always understand. But anyways, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far. And we'll talk later. Bye.